Welcome to Learning the Basics, where I teach you guys the basics of competitive Pokemon. Today we're going to be talking about individual values, also called IVs, and Pokemon natures. Now, what are individual values? Well, they're kind of an interesting idea. They're what I like to consider the second building block of a Pokemon. IVs range from a number of 0 to 31 on each stat, so a Pokemon could have a 0 IV HP, a 31 IV attack, 29 IV defense, anywhere in between that range. And the higher the IV number, the higher the stat will be. Now, why is it like this? Well, one way I like to think about it is it's a representation of what a Pokemon looks like at level 100. So we're going to be using a neutral nature Rayquaza as an example. Now, we haven't talked about natures, but I will get to that later in this video. Now, Rayquaza's base stats, as you can see on the left side, you can look over those to review them if you don't remember what they are from the last video, and I don't really expect you to remember them anyways. And then on the right side, if you look at Rayquaza, I have its stats written down at level 100 and how much they range and how high the stats can go. If you look at each of the stats, you'll actually notice that each stat has a range of 31 points. Coincidence? So, that means if a Rayquaza has an HP of 320 at level 100, it has a 0 IV in HP, whereas if it has an HP of 351 at level 100, that means its IV is 31. And ideally, the higher the IV, the better. Now, competitive Pokemon isn't done at level 100, and in fact, I think very few settings for competition for Pokemon is done at level 100 due to the difficulty of getting Pokemon to level 100. It is easier compared to previous games, but I mean, it's still kind of a pain in the butt and takes a lot of time. So it's kind of easier just to kind of put all the Pokemon at the same level, which is level 50. Now, if we look at how much the stat ranges for Rayquaza at level 50, it's half of 31, which is 15. Not exactly, but Pokemon likes to round down. So it's a 15 range instead of a 31 range. That means if Rayquaza has an HP stat of 165 at level 50, that means it has a 0 IV HP. Whereas if its HP is 180 at level 50, that means it has a 31 IV HP. There are a few stats we usually want to have a 31 IV on to maximize the potential of a Pokemon. So, for example, we'd usually want a 31 IV on attack, defense, special defense, and usually speed. That makes them, with HP defense and special defense, the bulkiest Pokemon they can be, whereas if we get a 31 IV in speed, it makes it so they can be the fastest Pokemon they can be. And then attack and special attack tend to depend on what you're going to have the Pokemon do. For example, if we want this Rayquaza to use physical moves, such as Dragon Claw, then that would mean that we would want a 31 IV in attack, and we could kind of just not care about special attack. And vice versa, if we want this Rayquaza to use the move Draco Meteor, which is a special attacking move, then we'd want a 31 IV in special attack and kind of not care about attack. So it depends on the situation and what kind of Pokemon you want to determine what kind of IVs they should have. But in general, you usually want a Pokemon with HP defense, special defense, and speed to have maximum IVs. Now, there are a variety of resources that can actually look up the IVs of your Pokemon, and so I recommend using those. You usually just want to Google them. There are a few resources, but the general message I want to get across here with you guys is that the higher the IV, the better. The lower the IV, the less ideal the stat is. And when you're trying to catch Pokemon such as legendaries or breeding, you ideally want to get at least 5 stats that are 31. With legendaries, it can be kind of hard, so I mean, you go for 4 or 3 or whatever you feel satisfied with. And ultimately, it's a Pokemon you want to play with, but the best thing to do for your Pokemon is to get one with the highest stats so you can use it the most efficient way. Now we're going to talk about natures and IVs. So natures also affect how high a Pokemon's stat can go and kind of builds on top of a Pokemon's base stat and IV. So if you look at your Pokemon, you'll see a variety of natures such as sassy, timid, all sorts of weird stuff. And some of the natures increase one stat while decreasing another stat, and then other natures don't do anything. I recommend that you look these up and try and learn what the natures do, because some natures are better than others for a Pokemon depending on what you want them to do, and some stats you just don't want them to be lowered. So today we're going to use Adamant Nature as an example of nature, and so Adamant Nature increases a Pokemon's attack by a multiplication of 1.1, which is 10%, and then decreases special attack by 10%, which is multiple of 0.9 to the stat. And so basically when a stat is going up or going down, it's going up or down by 10% with nature. And so this multiplication, like I kind of mentioned earlier, is done off the ending stat, which is affected by the base stat and IV. So now we're going to look at Rayquaza with an Adamant Nature and see how much Adamant will increase its attack while decreasing its special attack, because it will have a significant effect on it. So attack is highlighted in green to kind of show that attack is being increased, while special attack is highlighted in red to show the decrease. And if you look at the range between the lowest stat and the highest stat for attack, it's actually a range of 17, which is higher than if the Pokemon had a neutral nature. And then special attack is also lowered by a significant amount and ranges by a significant amount. But it's also important to note that a nature will not affect every stat, so HP, defense, special defense, and speed all pretty much stay the same. We're going to compare a neutral nature Rayquaza with an Adamant Rayquaza, and as you guys can see, HP, defense, special defense, and speed are all the same, and special attack and attack are the only stats that are changing with an Adamant Nature. And also, if you look at the highest attack for a neutral nature Rayquaza, it's 170. And then if you look at the lowest attack for an Adamant Rayquaza, it's 170. So, I mean, you get a pretty big boost with an Adamant Nature Rayquaza. And so you can get off a lot more damage, and Rayquaza could do a lot cooler stuff and be more efficient for you. And then if you look at special attack, it's lowering it by a significant amount. The lowest special attack could be for a neutral Rayquaza is still higher than what a modest nature Rayquaza can have. So you have to be careful when you're picking the nature for your Pokemon, because sometimes they can hinder what they do. For example, if you want a fast Pokemon, or you want to make Rayquaza fast, you don't want to give it a nature such as Sassy. Sassy, if you guys don't know, increases special defense while lowering speed. Now, you want your Rayquaza to be fast to get off damage, but if it's sassy and it's lowering speed, it's not going to do its job too well. So nature is very important to make sure that your Pokemon can do the appropriate job. If you're unsure what nature to run on the Pokemon, I recommend you just kind of go on, do some battles, test it, and see what natures you like best. And there are also a variety of resources you can look at where people talk about the Pokemon they use and what natures they use. Alright, next time on Learning the Basics, we're going to talk about effort values. Maybe you guys don't know what those are. Maybe that's the reason why you're watching this video. So we're going to talk about what they are and how they're good at training Pokemon, and how they're important for training your Pokemon and making it the strongest Pokemon it can be. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe or leave a comment below. I'll see you guys next time for Learning the Basics, Effort Values.